Thank you, everyone, again for coming out tonight. Here we got Coach Brian Williams. Coach Williams joined the staff here in Maryland as a linebackers coach back in February of 2019. Back in 2020, in February, Coach Williams transitioned down to the D-line. Prior to that, Coach had spent time at UAB, University of Georgia, Florida State, but he originally got a start and cut his teeth at the high school level, spending 3 years as a coordinator. So Coach Williams, we're excited to hear what you got today. Take it away.
First of all, I want to say thank you guys for having me. Look forward to tonight's talk, man. And if I can hopefully give you something, a nugget or two to take back with you to apply to what you're doing and start a line of communication as well, because I'm always trying to learn and evolve as well. So with that being said, tonight we're pretty much talking about pass rushing. And the gist of it for us will be, just kind of what we get into and what we call our jet mode and generally our third down game. So I'll go ahead and share my screen here. And is everyone seeing what I'm seeing here? Pass rush, we're good?
You're all good, Coach.
Okay. All right. So, numbers don't lie when it comes to putting pressure on the quarterback. All right. And we study this deal year in, year out on every level. And 40 sacks for a lot of times, man, for the majority of the teams that won 10 games, they got if they didn't get 40, they got really close to it. So, we understand that if we play the way we want to play on first and second down, then we obviously shrink your playbook offensively, and we put you in those situations where we get to peel our ears back and really come at you with exotic looks and things of that nature. But we try to instill in our guys that they got to earn the right to rush the pass on third down. Okay, all right. So just kind of to piggyback on what I mentioned here, this is 2019, our first year here with Coach Loxley, and we were 94th, tied for 94th in the country with 21 sacks. All right, we won 3 games and we didn't go to a bowl game. Okay, all right. So we've the number one attribute to rushing the passer well is recruiting. Okay, recruiting, and then from there, obviously, is the developmental part in which we'll talk about here tonight. But look here at this past season. Okay, we've improved a little bit, and we got up to 31 sacks this year, tied for 54th in the country. And we won 7 games and got in the bowl game. All right. So I'm a firm believer that we were 9 sacks away from winning 10 games. All right. And I think, when you look at the impact that sacks have, especially on third down, any down really, but especially on third down, when you start talking about momentum swings and just generating positive energy and flowing through your team and carrying it over to now the special teams on the field or the offenses on the field. If we got a strip sack, hell, we picked it up and ran in the end zone. All right. So all those things equivalent to winning. And that's where we're headed. That's where we want to be. So, when we first get started with who we want to be as a team and how we want to rush the passer, okay, we try to break it down from the standpoint of how we're being attacked. Okay. So the base pass pro that we see, that everyone sees, we call it 5-0 protection, man on man, big on big. Okay. And we want to make sure that our guys understand their lane integrity. There are a lot of instances where we're playing quarterbacks that have 1 read, maybe 2, but other than that, they're dropping back to run the ball. And it's so important in college football because there are a lot of chunk yards that show up week in, week out based off quarterback scrambling and lack of lane integrity from the defensive front. All right. Then the other part of that is, you can effectively affect the decision makers. And what I call decision makers are the offensive linemen and the quarterback, because these guys have to make decisions when we're running games, when we're twisting and so on and so forth. And obviously the guy back here has to make a decision as well. Okay. But we want to make sure that we are together in what we're doing. So right here, as we see, this is just 5-0 protection, like we said. Okay. And we got 2 edge guys that we want to make sure that we rush to the level of the quarterback. Okay. And whatever move or whatever design we're doing in our efforts, it has to be to a point where we're not running past him and creating a lane for him to step up and throw or run. Okay. And we're talking about 4-man pressure right here, 4-man rush, whether it's out of 4 down front or 3 down. All right. And obviously 7-man coverage on the back end. Okay. Now, as far as our interior goes, okay, we really understand too, man, that in 5-0 protection, a lot of times we're going to gain a situation where we get a two-way goal with whoever's getting the one-on-one out of the 3 interiors. Okay. And that is determined by wherever the center decides to slide. Okay. And now we call the guy who obtains the 2-man, protection, the nose or the tackle, whichever way the center slides, he's the radar guy. And who he's radaring? The quarterback. All right. He's still going to apply pressure. He's still going to apply a look right here and gain the attention of the center and the guard, whoever it is. But at the same time, he also wants to be able to make this guy right here. And this guy being the tackle. All right. So if he's up the field and under, all right, and the quarterback steps up in this lane, we want to radar back to him. So a lot of times it turns into a Rolai's game, a late reaction game, the way it looks. But in the grand scheme of things, all we're doing is making sure we keep a pocket around the quarterback, okay? And on every level, no matter whether they're in yellow jackets now as Hall of Famers or not, they're not as efficient when bodies around them, when the pocket is tightening up. All right, it's proven. Okay, so we want to. That's our way of affecting the quarterback, squeezing the pocket, and eventually breaking the pocket. All right, so here's a good example of us right here. We're in a 4 down front right here with a 7-man coverage, and we do a good job right here of staying level right here, and we're pushing the pocket. Okay, our radar player right here is in position. All right, to make this guy right. If he goes inside and he steps up here, or if he steps up here and falls here, we want to always, this guy's almost like a run defender. Now, he's always got to keep pushing the pocket so he continues to occupy 2. Because if we get 3 one-on-ones, somebody got to win, if not all of them. Okay, that's the way it works. Okay, we want to make sure our rush matches our coverage on the back end. All right, so we do a good job of collapsing the pocket right here, maintaining the leverage right here on the deal, and getting the quarterback on the ground. Okay, so that's a good example versus 5-0 protection. Here's another one right here for us. Okay. The center slid right away this time to the 3 technique. Okay. But it still ended up being big on big. We keep the pocket in the right situation right here and force the quarterback to get rid of the ball prematurely. All right. So now our next protection we commonly see is we call it jet protection. And all it is 32 protection. And it's generally a situation where it's man to the side of the running back. Okay. And it's a slide, okay, away, okay, and that's generally the protection we see from week in, week out when we show 4-man rush. Now, with that being said, we still apply our same 4-down rush rules where we got 2 edge contained players, a radar rusher, as well as a 2-way go guy that has the option inside when whoever obtains the one-on-one from the guard. All right, and then we do a really good job around here of trying to show our guys as many examples as possible from the next level, knowing that most of them, that's where they're aspiring to be. All right. And if you're playing the Ravens, obviously, you definitely need to make sure that you're rushing the quarterback with great lane integrity. All right. And the Browns right here do a good job of that, as they got a radar guy trying to make sure he makes the 3 technique right. And then the 2-way go guy winning and getting the guy on the ground. Okay. And here we are right here. We're in a 4-down front. Our 3 technique right here gets the 2-way go. All right. And gets the quarterback on the ground. The jet protection right here. One-on-one right here, radar in it. And then we get it down on the ground. Now, this is also ways that we can call this too based off personnel. Okay. So sometimes we'll declare, like in this situation right here, we just declare out of the 2 interior guys who's going to, no matter what, take the 2-way go and who's just going to radar. All right. So this guy right here, Mokite, one of our better pass rushers. All right. Isaac right here, solid player right here. He does a good job playing nose and putting himself in position in the event the quarterback steps up and gets away. He's ready to cover for this guy. All right. But he doesn't have to. Mo does a good job getting him on the ground. All right. Here's another example again. Same 2 guys in on the interior. Okay. We get the 2-way go for the 3 technique. But the center this time, he slides to him. So now he pumps his brake. Okay. He pumps his brake and plays the radar right here. So now The nose right here, he understands he's getting a one-on-one. He goes straight speed to power right here on it. Okay, he goes straight speed to power. So this is just examples of our guys reacting to what they see based off protection as it relates to their rush. All right, so this is kind of what our base way of rushing the passer out of our 4-down rush. Okay, and again, they slide high right here. Both guys inside are getting one-on-ones. So we go speed to power because, again, we want to keep as much lane integrity right here. And here, right here, Isaac right here against a really good player right here. This guy probably the first guy taken on the offensive line in the draft. But we do a good job. Doesn't matter. We get up under his pass and get him pressed back. And again, now this clock is going a little faster for this quarterback right here. And he's pressing a little bit. He's pressing a little bit. So this is a good job of us collectively rushing the pass and sending forward. All right. And then obviously on full slide scenarios for us, right? Off of play actions, boots, nakeds, and things of that nature, full slide situations. We always want to work against the slide. All right. So if you slide to our left, we want to work right because generally that's where we find the weak spots versus your slide protection. And this is a reaction deal that we utilize. Obviously, our two edge guys contain, all right, as they work outside. Okay. And then on the inside, again, we want to work away from the slide and break in the pocket. So right here, we get full slide protection right here. All right. And our interior lineman right here, he recognizes it, puts a foot in the ground and finds the weak spot. We always want to tell our guys, man, we want to take air and opportunity as we rush and generally getting our lanes here to the quarterback. So we do a good job of recognizing it right here. This isn't a 4-man rush. However, it's a good job of recognizing the slide. Here we go versus slide again. So again, the slide is going this way. So now we want to work opposite the slide. We do a good job of working there from the inside all the way back to the outside. We're working right here. We feel the slide and we work away from wherever they're sliding from. That's usually the weak spots. And it gives us a chance to put a pocket around the quarterback. Because the offensive linemen, they want us to go in the direction they're going because they don't want to change direction. That's why they play offensive line. All right. So now general philosophy now. So now let's kind of talk about third down. And in third down, we're saying we are in jet mode. We call it jet mode. And what I like to do is I want our guys to differentiate first and second down, obviously, from third down, because now we're not playing the counters. We're not playing the traps. We're not worried about your mesh on the zone read. All right. Unless your offense doesn't change on third down, no matter what the down the distance is, now we're going to go ahead and play the sticks. Now we're going to go ahead and get in our jet mode. All right. And now our stance has changed in terms of what we want to do. Our whole mindset is really transitioned from a run defender first to we're getting after the quarterback. Okay. And it's a race to the quarterback. We want to be there in under 3 seconds. Okay. Beating the offensive lineman to their sweet spot. All right. So a set line for an offensive lineman, we want to be 3 yards behind his heels. We want to be 3 yards behind his heels. And basically that's our aiming point. That's the top of our rush. Just like a receiver gets to the top of a route, we get to a top of a rush. And now that tells us where we're going next or what we're doing next instinctively. All right. So as we move into it right here, progression, we want to keep the ball, get in a loaded stance. Okay. And then now we anticipate movement. And all we got to do is see our technique, wherever it is. If I'm in the 9 technique, I'm seeing this outside tip shoulder of the tackle and I'm peripherying the ball. All right. I don't want to have my head turned all the way inside to the ball because now I got to turn my head to see where I'm going and who I'm going against. I never want my technique to come out of my vision as I'm getting up the field and exploding off the ball. All right. So my eyes moves to the shoulders of the offensive lineman. Okay. And I'm going to talk about that now. So we want to identify the set of the offensive lineman, especially off the edge. And I'm talking primarily edge right here. Okay. And that right there gives us the indicators on whether or not it's okay to work inside, or I need to stay outside based off of the set of the offensive lineman. Okay. And as I'm working up the field and feeling his set, I'm finding and feeling and anticipating where the quarterback is. Is it a 3-step drop? Is it a 5-step drop? Is it a sprint out? Whatever the case may be. All right. I'm going through that whole progression as I work. Okay. Recognizing and dictate the tools that you need based off the shoulders of the offensive lineman. Is it a quick set? Is it a jump set? So on and so forth. So again, by reading the shoulders, this will allow us to determine our best possible move. Okay. Do I need to go horizontal? If it's a horizontal deal and he's getting his depth, then I'm probably going to end up level rushing and working back inside, or if I can get around him off of speed to power or a snatch technique. All right. If he's vertical and low, that probably means I can beat him to the edge. That means I got a real good get off. Okay. I burst off the ball. If I'm a 4.6 guy and he's a 5 forever guy, then I should be able to run faster forward than he is backwards. And then if he's a guy that's really got good footwork, which we see a lot in our league, all right, and he's got great footwork and size and length and girth, then now I'm probably going to end up having to get up underneath his pads, okay, and make sure I maintain leverage on the way to the quarterback based off my gap integrity, okay? And that's generally the rush that you end up doing the most. I know they work every other move during the summer and the off season, but during the season, to keep lane integrity and have things intact defensively, that's kind of what you're going to end up being and doing. All right. So now horizontal shoulders, pass square to the line of scrimmage. We got to stay outside on that rush. You know, he's not really giving us a window to get inside on him. All right. Because those are the situations where when we do and we get washed inside, now we've given up contain and the quarterback has broken our deal. So we try to marry it up so our guys understand, hey, we got to chop, we got to speed, chop, rip, move. We work all the time. I pull, slide, and swim, speed to power. All of those are our tools to stay outside with. And those are the things we need to work. So if we're working against a tackle that's, you know, going to put us in those positions consistently throughout the game, well, that week, these are the moves we're going to try to execute throughout the week to make sure we're ready for that guy come Saturday. Okay. So here's a good indicator right here. Here's a good look. Good horizontal shoulders right here by the offensive lineman. And then, you know, this right here is the line that we're running. And this is, you know, we want to get to the depth of this guy. And we see the sweet spot right here where the star is. That's the set point right there. That's generally where we're going to engage and have to stay outside on the horizontal drop by that guy. So right here to the right, we see Justin Houston when he was with the coach right here. He gets a good get off right here. Now, again, usually, and I usually tell our guys, man, it's usually that third step right here that you're going to have to read exactly what you're getting. All right. So by the time he gets that third step in the ground right there, his shoulders are pretty much square and he's not really giving him no space or room to work inside. So at this point, now he's going right to a long arm right here and he's clubbing his outside arm because he understands he's got to work outside. And good job of finishing, getting him on the ground. So here we are right here. Sean Holt right here, understanding this guy gets a good 1, 2, 3. His shoulders are pretty much square. So now we're going to keep the outside leverage. Again, filling this in right here. It's a 5-step play action, finishing outside in to the upfield shoulder of the quarterback. So right here, both sides of the edge right here. 1, 2, 3, both shoulders are square. So now I got to work outside in to the quarterback when I'm the contained player. Okay. All right. So now, vertical shoulders now, but now the pass turn away from the line of scrimmage. All right. Now we're getting some room to work inside because now this may be a guy that doesn't get as much depth on his pass set as we've seen here in these couple other sets right here. This could be a late five-step drop, or we could be really wide in our alignment. And by the time we get to the sweet spot now, it's open inside. Okay. So now the thing we got to understand too are the moves that go along with it. Okay, speed and counter inside, speed and spinning inside. All right, speed to power low inside and bob and swat. And then the other part of it too is adjusting our track once we go inside. All right, adjusting our track meaning once I beat him inside, now I got to get right back vertical again to assure I keep outside in leverage on the quarterback, because I don't want to take an inside route and then be shallow in my release inside. And now I give the lane away, or give the integrity of the edge away to the quarterback. Okay. So right here, this guy right here jumps out his stance and gets his shoulders turned. All right. And he's giving up a two-way go automatically right here on Bosa. Again, and this is, generally really good run blocking offensive linemen, good right tackles that are, very aggressive by nature. They tend to be guys that have their shoulders turned a little prematurely, and we get a chance to take advantage of that. Okay. So right here, this guy jumps it right here. His get off was so good, he just stayed to the outside. Again, right tackle, aggressive guy, jumps it right here. But the get off was good, so we stayed outside. All right, again, vertical high set. Now, again, we're getting the counter inside because it's there. And a lot of times this come off of play actions, and this is it. We end up being in a convert to run from run to pass situation. Good job finishing right there. You got a wide alignment here. With a good get off, he turns his shoulders to him real quick. He does a good job of putting that right foot in the ground and coming right inside because he sees the opportunity. Takes the air and opportunity, good counter move inside. Okay. So those are two ways that we really look at and study who our opponent is and how well they get depth in their pass set. And there are certain weeks where we understand there probably going to be no situations where we're ever going to take an inside move because of who we're playing. And then every scenario for us is the plan is to get up the field and get around the edge. Okay. That's always the plan. Okay. But we also, these are the ways we get to countering inside when we need to. Okay. One thing for sure, man, pass rush is all about effort. Okay. So effort still wins, man. No matter what the scenario is, there's so many situations that show up of guys making plays all because of effort. And so we grade that on a daily basis. We hold this to a high standard of guys just playing hard through the echo of the whistle. Effort still wins. Okay. Any questions as I'm going here?
No questions right now, Coach.
Okay. So as far as our drill work goes, one of the biggest things I think that guys really have to understand again is making sure, especially from the outside in on the edge, is making sure that we're effective level rushers. Okay. Edge rush and being able to get an effective rush and sometimes, sacking the quarterback is what the goal is, right? The next goal is to not the hitters, to get a hit on them, okay? And then lastly is to affect him in some way, shape, or form, whether it's getting him off his movement, messing up his timing. You don't do that when you rush past the quarterback, okay? All right. So in all of our drill work, okay, it's all about making sure that we keep that pocket intact. Okay. We keep the pocket intact. And also when we ever get an opportunity to knock the ball down, we want to be able to do that as well. All right. So we try to drill this as much as possible. Okay. And how we finish and in hopes that it shows up in the ball games. So again, getting a level rush, not running past them. Now the clock's going off. So if he was looking for a dig route down the field or a post or whatever the case may be, if this guy runs up the field and passes him, then now we're putting our two-way go guy in a dilemma and our radar guy in a dilemma. Okay. So, but now once we level rush, now that clock's going off and he's going to throw to the check downs, and check downs win a lot of times for you. Okay. All right, even coming out of the 4-eye, all right, we got a Larry call right here, I believe. Or it might be a 3-man rush. Oh, excuse me, we're plugging right here with the backer. All right, so we got contain here. We do a good job of getting to contain, but we don't want to keep running this way. We want to get back to this spot. All right, so we throw that guy by and finish on a level rush right here. And then ultimately, because again, these guys, they are not looking, they're looking down the field, but quarterbacks are good football players in terms of instincts and understanding and feeling what a rush is. And right now, he thinks he has air and opportunity right here when he really doesn't. Converting, seeing it, and understanding I'm not going to go too far and get ran by. And I'm going to level back to the quarterback. And again, we don't get the sack here, but we affect him in many different ways. And we get a hit on him. And it shows in the throw. And this is something that is drilled consistently for us. And we're setting up the rush here so we're level. We're giving the illusion that we're going to work up the field right here to get this guy rolling, just so we can get back to a level scenario. And now we get a hit on the quarterback and we get the ball thrown prematurely. So affecting the quarterback from this standpoint as level rushers. Okay. All right. So the next phase for us is being able to convert off what we see. Okay. And when we're converting, it's generally out of a first and second down scenario where we're playing our run responsibility. And now, one thing about it, man, I think it's really important that all your drill work needs to be visualized. All right. No sounds need to be made whatsoever other than for communication pre-snap and where you're going. But as far as what you're doing versus what you see is everything. All right. So we got ball key right here getting off. And now we give the vision. All right. We give the vision command right here, the quarterback dropping, showing pass. And all we want to do is just work that muscle memory of reacting to it when we see it and converting our hips. So biggest thing we want to put emphasis on is throwing our hips out of the run fit, You'll see it here as well. That's the emphasis. Throw the hips out of the run fit, and that escapes you out of the deal and allows you to get to the quarterback. Same deal. We're playing our mesh read right here. Up is pass. We want to throw our hips out of the run fit and finish on the conversion. And it's repetition, it's being able to see it over and over and over as you go through your progression. Okay. So now a different scenario for us right here is our toe turn. Okay. We work this as well. Now we're back in jet mode. Okay. And this is simply getting off the ball, great anticipation of movement. Our stances have changed now. This drill looks a little different than the one you saw us doing on the sled. All right, because we're in jet mode now. Okay. Giving them visuals right here of where we want to go, how we want to bend, turn the edge right here. We compete on this drill too. All right. Really good drill for our edge guys. So emphasis right here, coaching point is we want to get our burst off the field off our front foot. All right. And when we get to the sweet spot right here, when we get to the set point in the top of our rush, we want to be able to make sure we get our inside foot toe turn, and that gets our hips around, and we bend the edge and finish. And once we put that outside foot in the ground, which he's doing right about now, here to the right, that's the burst foot. That's what we want to burst through to the quarterback and finish in the rush. So turn, outside foot burst, finish. So turn, and there's the burst. Good burst off the field, off the front foot. Get off, made it happen. Okay. All right. So now, long arm for us. Long arm again. You know, this goes a long way in what we talk about with recruiting. All right. And if your arms are short, you probably won't end up being a long arm guy, especially in our league where the tackles stand 6'6" and higher, okay, and taller. So being able to execute the long arm though is an instinctual deal. It's also a deal we spend a lot of time on, all right, and just body positioning, hand placement, the whole deal. So if we're going to be an edge long arm situation, we're probably going to end up with our hand on the outside cylinder of the guy we're working against on his outside pec. All right, as we get our hips around, we want to over exaggerate our hips and then over exaggerate the burst to the quarterback. So right here on the edge, good job on the burst, good job of getting the long arm and getting underneath. So the biggest thing right here, we want to sink our hips on contact. And as you see on the drill work right here, we were in a finished position. So we want everybody's hips synced for the most part. I think this guy right here is probably giving us the best look in terms of what body positioning right here. Okay. And this guy right here is doing the best job right here, getting the hips around and over exaggerating himself right here. Okay. Right here, number 30 does a good job of putting it all together. For the most part, as we get off the ball right here, now we want to sink our hips and get up underneath the pass right here. And it's the best thing to do right here is to catch this guy. When you catch him with your near leg, near shoulder right here on it, when he puts this foot in the ground right here, see, we got our near leg and near shoulder in the ground, and this guy's got 1 foot in the ground, right? If you look right here, he got 1 foot in the ground now, he's got 1 foot in the ground now, he's got 1 foot in the ground. And when we catch him on 1 foot, this allows us to get knocked back. This allows us to get knocked back. Now, he does a good job of pulling the outside shoulder and keeping him off the quarterback. All right, but luckily we got a good rush on the other side. But this is a good job of executing the long arm right here. So again, here's a good example of us getting off, and notice right here how we want to get underneath the pad right here, sink our hips, okay? And now we finish on the explode part of it. So this gives us every opportunity to get underneath the pads right here, okay? Again, we want to get vertical off the deal, 1, 2, 3, all right? We want to get the long arm going, and again, when we end up with that inside foot and arm, when we end up with our near leg, near shoulder and arm going, and he's got 1 foot in the air and 1 foot on the ground, then now he's at our mercy. We're going to keep him on 1 foot until we finish with it, okay? Hate to show one of our guys doing it, but it's a good job of executing the technique right here. Okay, play we saw earlier right here, underneath, he did a good job of getting, probably could have got a little lower right here, but he ended up getting good separation, keeping him away from him with long arm. That's a long guy with long arms himself, so pretty conducive move for him to exercise. All right, so now, speed to power. speed to power. Speed to power can be executed by anybody that can bend, all right, and who has speed and power. It's more power than it is speed involved, okay?
Hey,
So,
Coach, real quick, we do have a question.
mhm.
Question is, when your guys are in a 2-point stance, what is your preference on which foot is up? Do you like to teach that as if they had their hand in the ground? Or do you also like to teach that as if they had their hand in the ground? Talking about your jet rush progression.
Okay, so 4-point stance is generally, whether both hands on the ground or one or none, we generally want to have our ball foot staggered. We want to have our technique foot staggered. Okay. So if I'm an edge player, all right, if I'm an edge player, I got my ball foot staggered a bit. So if both hands on the ground, that's fine. But I want to be able to, I need to have a foot staggered. And now then the way we go with that is we want to go toe to instep. So if I got my right foot staggered, if I got my right foot back, I want to have my toes on the instep of my left foot. Because I don't want to have a lot of people say heel to toe. I want every advantage to get forward as possible. But I got to declare 1 foot up and 1 foot back. Okay. So, and what this does, again, I'm still pushing off the front foot, but the further I got my right foot, if my left foot's in front, the further my right foot is behind me, the longer it's going to take to get in front of me. So I want to put my back foot to the instep. The other thing that does is it allows us to coil our bodies a little bit better within our stance. So now I can get my butt up in the air a little bit, like I'm in the track blocks right here, and I'm getting ready to run the 100-meter dash. All right, because essentially that's what we're doing. Okay, but as far as our hands go, I kind of leave that up to the guys. Some guys just have a little more balance and body control, and they can just be in a 3-point stance. Some guys might need to put the other hand in the ground just to keep themselves balanced a little bit. I don't necessarily have a preference for them in terms of that. Now, even when we're in our 3-point stands in first and second down scenarios, when we're playing the runs, we got our same foot, our feet in the same scenario, totally instep. All right. But now we may not have our butt in the air like we normally do, because now we got to go play counters, traps. We got to play the stretch block and all of those things. So we got to be able to go left and right as well as forward. All right. But as far as what hands down, now we'll have a 3-point stance situation on that right there for the most part. And I'll usually, we want our other offhand. If it's not on the ground, we want it hanging, because we want all the power coming from our body. If my hand is, let me stop this real quick. If my hand is up near my chest right here, if my hand is up near my chest, and my power is, I'm losing power from the ground. I'm losing power from my lower body. And we want everything to come from underneath up. We want to come all power out of the ground. So if I'm in my stance, I let this hand hang. So now both hands are coming simultaneously with the same power, same intensity, and the same violence to where I want to engage the offensive lineman. Does that answer?
Yeah, Coach, that's good.
Okay. That's a really good question. All right, so speed to power. So right here, we're getting off right here, and we've recognized the fact that, we got square shoulders. We got a patient offensive lineman, but he's vulnerable inside. He leaves his chest open a little bit. And more importantly, hell, we just better at speed to power than we are anything else. So that's what we're going to exercise and utilize. Number 57 right here is a strong guy. He gets up underneath pads. He does a good job. Now, upon speed to power now, we got to declare a lane. We got to declare our pass rush lane. So in that event, I want to go ahead and fully extend that guy, and notice we're putting emphasis on throwing our hips out of this rush right here. I want to get underneath, and we call it eyes on the chin. I want to get my eyes underneath his chin, all right, with my face up, okay, all right, and then I want to get underneath him. I want my feet to stop, and I want to throw him off me right here and get my hips flipped and then excel to the quarterback. So again, right here, we're high hands out of the blocks. All right, and upon the contact right here, speed to power, we want to sink our hips. We want to lock this guy all the way out. And then we want to throw our hips out of the block right here. All right. And now do a better job of turning and running and getting vertical.
Coach, we got about 5-10 minutes left here.
Good deal. Okay. So these are good examples right here of us doing speed to power. Okay. Here's another way we drill it right here, getting off. And this is us putting emphasis on what? Sinking hips before contact. All right. To assure we get underneath those pads. Sink the hips, get underneath the pads, catch them on one leg, and finish. All right, so now the other common deal we get a lot is when we get overset. Overset past situation, we want to be able to wipe cross face and get vertical. We want to be able to put ourselves in wipe cross face. This also helps us versus the slide. This is a good drill right here we utilize when we get in a heavy slide scenario and we recognize it. We're recognizing it right now. Offensive lineman stepping to and showing hands right now. It's telling us pass, and we're going to wipe cross and take the air and opportunity versus it. So here we are again right here, getting vertical, recognizing the slide, working away. Showing hands, stepping to, boom, recognize it, finish. Here's some of our individual work right here, working on stab. And all this it entails, man, is just taking the drill work to the game. So taking the drill work to the game. And you know, the biggest part, man, what we try to impress upon our guys is, you know, find what works for you. Find what you do well. Find what you got a niche, what you have a niche doing. Find what you excel at. And work, make that unstoppable. You know, instead of trying to do 1,000,001 things, let's try to do a couple things really, really well, okay? And have a couple counters off of it. That way we can feel good about what we're doing. We know what we're working for, all right? And it's not a guessing game for us, and we're playing faster that way. We're playing faster that way. So I'll open it up right here. If anyone has any questions based off anything we talked about or anything else.
If anyone does have questions, feel free to type them down there into the Q&A or into the chat, and I can direct them over to Coach. Doesn't look like much is coming through here. Coach, if you want to give another minute.
Yep.
It doesn't look like anything's coming through. Pretty thorough, pretty detailed, Coach. So not a whole lot left to leave to the imagination, but I'm sure some of these guys will be hitting you up.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
If you got info you want to share or anything else, feel free right now.
No, I'll just piggyback and just say, hey, man, I try to utilize examples to our guys, and you know, I tell them, I say, hey, you go play the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry is you know, he's seen every which way to defend a screen. Klay Thompson's running off screens. I mean, back in the day, Jose Canseco was knocking them out the park. King Griffey was hitting RBIs. You know, you see your favorite NFL guys, you see them pretty much do the same moves over and over and over, and no one's stopping them. and perfecting the craft, working towards, what's your body type? What do you do well? I'm not going to have, number 57, who we saw on the screen, doing a lot of hip flip stuff, because obviously that's not his deal. But what you do see him doing is speed to power. With 34 now, he's a little more fluid and a little more sudden. So now let's get really good at that. We can still execute power. All right. We can still, but now, 57, hey, you got to get guys going on their heels before you flipping your hips. 34, you can do it at the beginning and then catch them off guard and get underneath the pads. Right. So what do we do well? What do you do well? And now let's put it all together and tie it into that umbrella or that pocket that we want to create to keep that quarterback in. So now we can collapse the pocket at the top of the rush, and our rush and our coverage go together, and we getting off the field.
Coach, we do have a question that just came in. Do you typically give your interior linemen a certain set of pass rush moves as opposed to your edge rushers, or teach all the same?
No, I think, generally, I mean, we all, a speed to power rush for an edge guy and an interior guy can be similar. However, you're not going to find too many long arm situations for our interior guys, right? Because the space is different. It's just a different scenario. The edge guys are usually longer, so they got long arms. So we'll spend a little more time on those deals, right? The edge guys don't necessarily have two-way goals at the jump. They don't get a lot of jump sets, right? Because they're on the edge. There's more space between them. So inside, we'll work more jump sets right here. Two-way goes at the snap, at the ball, and on the edge, that's a different scenario for us. So it's not a whole lot of similarities, if you will, for them, other than just the techniques of executing, leverage and things of that nature. So now we all convert the same way. We all convert. We all work against the slide. We all work back, and we work those movements. So yeah, everything that we do the same will work the same, and things that we do different, we spend time doing separately as well. So having an edge game plan and an edge way of doing things is obviously important, and then having an interior way of doing things is obviously important.
Great stuff. It looks like there's no more questions coming through here, Coach. So if you're all set, we appreciate you taking the time.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.